What's going on, YouTube? Time for a mini lesson in moving averages. We're going to talk about the terminology I use, loop or swoop, the moving average. We're going to talk about how to scalp these limited risk plays, what to look for, what to wait for. And this is just another confirmation catalyst that I use in momentum trend trading for my scalps. And this is a really high accurate way to get this. We're looking at Friday, okay? Friday, that big old force up that we just seen, nasty move into the reversal at 5,900, okay? And this is the ES chart. And if you're not familiar with the channel or first time here, the 10 SMA here is in the blue, 100 EMA in the green, 200 SMA peach tan color, a little light purple there, 666. Bright purple is the VWAP. We're not going to be talking about those, but just so you know, it's going to be based off the 10 SMA, a little bit of the 100 EMA. On momentum scalps, I like to use the 10 SMA. All right, left side of the chart here is the 1 minute, right side is the 5 minute, okay? And we usually start with the 1 minute and what these things look like for loops and swoops. We're going to focus on market open, right? And we're going to see the trend force up unnaturally. So let's get into it. 8:30 a.m. Central start time. The 10 SMA, obviously low volume, cracking around here in pre-market. We open right here. We have the huge force up candle right off this orange dash line, half candle retrace, so really good confirmational support. It pushes up. You notice here on that breakover, we are now over the 10 SMA daily. So what does trend suggest? Wait for the moving average to catch back up and see if it associates itself, the price action, with the 10 SMA intraday 1 minute to assume trend, okay? So force is up, sideways back down, 10. Force is up, sideways till the moving average catches up, force is up, sideways, and we got our first interaction, which we call a loop, okay? So let's get over this, or get into this. 10 SMA on the 1 minute chart, in the blue here, breaks up and rides trend as we just discussed. This is just a normal trend reversal, and big things come in threes in the market. We'll talk about that rule right here with this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1 force up move, 2, 3. And then as we come into the third, it's about to take a peek at some other trade value. Okay, so we zoom in real close here. This is the loop. And you hear me talk about hard open closes a lot in all my videos. That is when a candle fully develops underneath a level. So if we're using the 10 SMA, a candle has to open up underneath the 10 SMA and close underneath the 10 SMA to be considered a hard candle. It cannot be crossed into the moving average. That is not the drawing tool that I wanted. Like so, where you see a candle developed through the 10 SMA, right? And it tags through something. I need a zero interaction, zero tag, nothing touching it kind of candle, okay? So we have trend squeeze, squeeze, squeeze on 3. Now, what do we do with this? This is our first loop, okay? When I say loop, that means the price action loops underneath. What am I looking for? Candles hard developed, which we just discussed, underneath said moving average. So we have 1, 2, 3, tag right there, 4 different candles. Now, a loop is when price action rides trend on something like so, finally gets exhausted, usually after a 3 up is a general idea to start looking. Of course, nothing's guaranteed to the market, just helpful confirmation, because you wouldn't want to short any of these first initial push-ups and get smoked. You want to short something that it's been doing for a little bit, and you look for the counter trend, right? It's all about confirmation. You don't just guess. So at the height right here, we got some pretty solid extension. We have ran away from the moving average quite a bit, goes back into another consolidation, but this time puts in a lower high, breaks down, we get our hard open close candles created. But it's not done yet. The first loop is something that you can trend scalp back up to equal highs or higher, okay? So what we mean by that is if the 1 minute high is right here, right? And we are worried about the price action coming down for the loop. We see it break under the 10. We have a buy zone underneath the 10 SMA at limited risk, right? To purchase some buys here to come back up to equal highs or higher, as we just discussed. What would be the metrics we use on the 1 minute chart here, okay? Well, on the 1 minute, because this is an impulse move, it's very fast. Nothing helped us on the 5 minute chart on the right, so that's why we're focusing on the 1. So when we buy that loop underneath the 10, and it pushes up to those equal highs and higher, what are we looking for? Well, what other piece of the pie would be a huge psychological catalyst? This trend is so formidable, so strong above that 10 SMA. We finally get the first loop and swoop after. We loop. Buy zone is underneath right here. Pushes back up to equal highs or higher. So again, you could be averaging in and purchasing underneath the 10 to come up to 1 equal highs, 6.5 points, or a little higher. Well, what would you look for higher? Well, we got to start looking at price action and where we're at, 9 points. What do you see on the screen? Psychological number, huge half whole dollar. It's 100, 5,900, right? 900 candle. So with that being said, we know that that could be an abrupt rejection point as we've already been running for quite some time, right? So we loop back to equal highs, beautiful scalp in and out trade. Works out, great. 1 minute is now done. We are starting to really leg down. 1, 2, 3. Again, market shorts. We are underneath 5,900 psychological level, and our prior high, we're chopping and getting stuck under. So most likely we're going to come back down to the next fastest moving average I use, which is the 100. Okay, that is what I mean by a loop and swoop whenever you hear me talking on the recaps or whenever we trade live with my group. Links in the description if you ever want to join us. What a loop and swoop is. This is a strong, squeezy price action that loops under the 10, pushes up to those highs, so on and so forth. What's that going to do with us for the 5 minute though? Okay, let's take a peek at here on what's something we're persistent, the rules that apply to this trading strategy, okay? On a 5 minute chart, we are at a now longer standing time frame, okay? So when we broke up over that 10 SMA right here, we actually never came back and tagged it. So you hear me talk a lot about first tag metrics. So when something finally comes back down to the 10 SMA, to a fib, to a VWAP, we generally have a reversal style scalp, very high paced, right? It's not always just a huge buy trend reversal scalp trading. This is where we have a lot of limited risk scalping and what I like to do. So on the 5 minute chart, you notice that we never had an interaction once it broke back over, where the 1 minute was calculating sideways into that 10 SMA and giving us nice moves. This happens on an impulse move where something is so strong to the upside, we're not looking for a loop on the longer standing time frames, okay? If it was slower, more controlled, and more natural movement that is not a force up, then we can look for the loop on the 5 minute. But this rule right here at an extremely fast, high-paced move up, we would not be looking for a loop to swoop long, right? Because we have to do, which you hear me talk about all the time, live high stop outs right here. We push to new highs and then fail. Well, that's not going to happen because the 5 minutes taking a lot longer to get there, and that impulse move is so fast, but the first tag metric still works out. So the 10 SMA is above, or price action's above 10, rolls up on the 5. First tag. Okay, that's pretty good. We'll look at the first tag metric. Well, if we were to scalp it, I always love to attempt these because they push into the 10 SMA, pushes up. We had about a 3 to 5 point scalp, and we size up enough for $200 to $500 trades like that, in and out in minutes. We love it. Now, what about the loop here on the 5 minute? Well, the 5 minute didn't loop correctly because, again, this is an impulse move, so something that moves extremely fast. The 5 minute chart moves so slow that it will not catch, okay? So you see it loop under the 10. But could you have scalped it? Well, of course you could, but only to the first target. We didn't talk about the first target on the 10 SMA here, but the first target on the 5 would be the 10 SMA, not the equal high. So remember on here, the 1 minute chart came down under the 10. This is the buy zone underneath because this is the first time we see price action underneath the 10. On the 1 minute, we can scalp the buy zone back to the 10 SMA. Okay, that would be target 1. So how I play these, here's high day, here's the break of the 10. I'm getting an extension. This is a limited risk buy zone because we're underneath. It shoots back up, but this time I only want to go to target 1, which would be the 10 SMA because the impulse is so strong up that most likely the 5 is not going to continue. The 1 will because it's a faster time frame, but it's already exhausted. It needs a bigger pullback to assess. We already hit a huge psychological resistance 5,900, so that's not also going to be just a simple tiny support found to break through 5,900 or something crazy like 6,000, 5,800, 100 whole, okay? So you could have got this loop on that 10 SMA push back to target 1. And then for me, target 2 is usually equal highs. So again, on the 1 minute, I could have longed here. Let's say I buy 4 contracts. Well, I would cover 3 of them into the 10 SMA, right? So I got $200 a point riding on ES. I buy down here. Let's say get a good average of 58.91. It pushes up to the 10 SMA. 3.5 points. Right? It's $600. That's not bad with 4 contracts. I'm going to cover 3 of those for 3/4 rule, and I'm going to let 1 ride to see if we get equal highs. So I'm going to cover at that 10 SMA, and I'm going to let the play work because even if it comes back down to entry, I'm still green because I covered 75% of my position size and I left 25% on. So if it comes back to entry, I'm still green. Always the rule, okay? So we get the average comes in. There's no hard open closes, so we don't stop out. We're down near entry, which again, just let it work. Pushes back up to equal highs. And let's just say for the cover, we were at here, and we sneak out another 3.5, 150 bucks. 750, not a bad trade. Now let's look at the 5-minute. Same exact thing. Pushes back under, now comes to that 10 SMA and drains down, right? So that is a really good loop on the 1 minute, and then down. This is a swooped 10 on the 5, okay? Let's look at another example on a little bit of a slower time frame that I got, and I'm going to do this on the dump day on last Wednesday, because I just want you guys to see how the moving averages catch up. So this is the day in question. These are the futures, ES still, and we came all the way back down to 5,800 as we're just discussing psychological half whole dollars. 5801 is the bottom of that ES. Let's take a peek now that you know the rules of the 5-minute. If we look for a swoop, we buy, or we look for a what? First tag for scalps. Okay, let's look at the 5-minute here. Under 10, under 10, under 10, under 10, trend break. Cool. Now what do? Do you just buy the breakout? No, you wait for confirmation. You be patient. Just because you see the impulse up doesn't mean anything. We could crack down and deathly go back down. And if you're buying the high of this candle, you're at risk, because if it doesn't want to hold the 10 SMA and wants to do a lower low, you didn't wait for the proper buy zone to limit your risk. You're going to get hurt. 10 SMA breaks up over on the 5-minute, sideways like we just discussed, till we call this rolling support, because the moving average is rolling up towards price action. And when that roll connects, we have a first tag metric, which means you go long, because this is a potential trend reversal. Breaks over, the 10 SMA is now support, ding. And now as long as that 10 SMA holds, you hold until another opposing force comes at you, which would be the VWAP and the 100 EMA. So you have an opportunity to ride the 10 to another moving average like the 10 or the 100, right? Let's look at it at 1 minute. Now that you know the rules, same thing. We'll go back to Wednesday, so we can show you just what the 1 and 5-minute comparison looks like. Loop and swoop, baby, right? And stop outs. Let's talk about it. So again, stuck, chop on the 10, 5,800, big psychological. You go, ooh, that could be a reversal. That's a big psychological half whole dollar. Pops. All right, there's the pop. We're past the 10 again, right? And now we have means for reversal. So it pops through, nice set of candles. And I mean nice set of candles on the 1 minute, because it stayed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 above that 10 SMA. Not 1 or 2 or even a little bit, a full set of candles develop. So we look for trend reversal, breaks, 10 SMA, bloop, right up, 10 SMA, bloop, right up, until what? An opposing opposite force. So where are my target players here? Entry, target 1, why? Moving average at the 100, because we're playing off the 1 minute chart. Still riding, baby loop, 200. I'd be out of my long. That's a perfect scalp. I would not be looking for this full trend reversal, blah, blah, blah. I'm a scalper, and I'm looking at limited risk scalps. I have a reversal. I have 1 trade, 2 trade, and a 3 out. So I'm in here long, and I have opportunity for 8.5 on ES, and then to the 200, 18.5. That is plenty to make money for the day. I do not need to hold and pray for the rest of the entire move. That is a fantastic set, okay? Now, notice we didn't actually get a tried and true strong loop and swoop, right? So again, you could have left a little bit of a runner if you wanted to. I don't play like that. I get out early. I get out at high probability. I get in at high probability. I tend not to ride trend if it's looking silly. But again, Wednesday was a pretty big dump, so you could have expected a pretty good retrace in that psychology of move. Now, until it actually looped, this was the first candle set it looped right here. So a loop and swoop, again, would have been buy equal highs or higher potential. And then you could have started using, again, moving averages to confirm strength. Pushed up over the 100 EMA here. Let's talk about another metric. It shied it, which we talk about a lot on this channel. Over the 200 now, shied it. There's no back test. No back test. Now we have price action above larger standing time frames that have now looped the 10 and did not want to tag the 100, did not want to tag the 200, which means the algos are buying this up before a back test, so it could potentially go higher. Now we got VWAP, right? And now let's take a look at rolling support. What happens when we finally catch up to the next moving average at that 100? It happened next day, coming into Thursday, right? Futures open up, super low volume, choppy nonsense, but what does it do? Up here, do you just buy and hope for the best? Well, no, you're going to wait for the moving average to catch back up and tell you what it wants to do. 100 EMA comes up. Hey, found a little bit of support. Broke under the 100. Oh, looped. Again, the loop and swoop on the next moving average. Same with the 10, did it a little bit there. Now you have a higher low trend with a higher high in sequence here, and off she went. Probably wouldn't have played that because I don't like the low volume mode of opens, but the moving average is caught up. Let's go a little bit farther on the time frames now to the 15 because each one of these has to play out. The 1 minute is quicker, so it's going to play out more than the 5. The 5 minute is faster than the 15, and that's going to play out more. So you need to be watching each one. A lot of the time on the 15 now, if you're looking at longer plays, you're looking for those swings, you're looking to extend this play. This is a good example because of this psychological dump. Again, you have a higher probable chance, nothing's guaranteed, to have a good retrace into the next day before it makes its next move that we have to find confirmation on. So again, being a 5,800 base, we're going to go to the 15-minute chart and see how it interacted the next. Now, being a 15-minute chart, the rules change a little bit between the 1 and 5. We don't need 1, 2, 3, 4 candles developed under a 10 SMA. Why? Because it's 15 minutes worth of price action. You need maybe 1, right? We don't need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1 minutes or 1, 2, 3, 4 5 minutes. We have a large 15-minute candle. Do not assume that it's going to take 2 hours under a 10 SMA to make a move, right? Common sense. So as we come into the 15 here, let's take a peek. Last example here on 10 SMA loops and moving average components. Again, under VWAP and 10, price action falls. Beautiful algo sell trend, 5,800. Boom, we're over the 10 on all time frames. Pushes away. Now, this is the end of the day where this dash line is right here, Wednesday to Thursday, right? So Wednesday, or there we go. Wednesday ends at the 58, pushes up. We're over the 10. Now, what do you see coming into that 15-minute chart for the lower volume? Now, I like to use, if I'm trading after hours at 5 p.m. Central when futures open, I have to use longer standing time frames. I don't worry about the 1 and 5. It just looks like this all the time on the 1 and 5. Use longer if you're trading after hours trades. Use quicker if you're using high volume, high volatility when the ETFs like SPY and QQQ are open. It's going to help the futures, obviously. So we get the bump. We're up over the 10. Sideways till what? 10 SMA catches up. This is what I call rolling support. You'll hear that terminology a lot. Comes up to the moving averages, or at least the 10. Okay, 1, 2 candle. What do we know about the 10 SMA loop? We have a chance, nothing's guaranteed, but we have limited risk to let it break through, find a base, right? Dollar cost averaging tiny little bits because ES can't really hurt you. Play the micros if you want. Under the 10, we have 15. Boop, right to the 10. Little bit of a push, and then of course ramps back up. And if you're playing the longer standing time frame like the 15, you got a decent little loop here. Now, other things apply like VWAP because the volume weighted average price is a huge marker that we use. And again, you can stack those catalysts. This is just one moving average catalyst. But when we came up to that VWAP, notice that's the first tag of the VWAP, rejection. Finally wanted to hold the 10 SMA. It gave you a loop, which is a hard open close candle here on the 15. It gave you a higher low in sequence on the 15. Push back over the VWAP, and then what do? You wait, because you're patient, till the moving average or VWAP catches up. Boom, another scalp. You wait, and then again, did it give you any fresh lows, or are we on trend? Higher low, higher low. Let's see, is that equal or higher low still? Higher low off the VWAP. So still no lows. Coming into that 15, and I'm just giving you a little extra info here on that 15 because I would trade that after hours. I would not be loving it if we were trading faster time frames on the low volume. So it comes in from that, pushes up to another higher low, and finally, I'm going to get back to the correct area here. Zoop. Sorry about that. There we go. So finally, that 10 catches up, you loop it, you go up. This is the higher low we were just talking about. Comes down at another higher low consolidation, pops right to the 100, comes back down. Oh my God, the price action shied the 100 again. What does that mean? Pops right to the 200. How many moves is that? 1, 2, 3 flat, rejection. A little bit of chop. 3 ups are a little bit better for 1 and 5 minute, but still there. Pushes up to the 200, falls apart, gets stuck under the 10, stuck under the 10, stuck under the 10, and resets the narrative. And why is that? Because we had an opposing force finally stop trend that is strong, like a 200 SMA, where we had blown through the 100 EMA, right? So again, not too shabby. Hope that makes sense for loop and soup 1 minute, 5 minutes. I'll come up with more examples, and I do talk about these in the recap video. So try to check us out on the YouTube recap videos. I try to post those daily, and I do go over moving averages and all the catalysts that we use. We stack them together. We squish as many as we can together to limit our entries and exits. If you found any value in these videos, you want to tune in next time, subscribe. You want to trade with us live, link is in the description. You want to support the channel in another way, we trade with Apex Funded Trading. TG33 is your code. That helps out the channel. Come on through. We'll see you in chat. If not, we'll see you on the next video. Take care.